Thank you all for joining my podcast tonight. Tonight I have David Lopez joining us. David, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, David. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about The Long Way Down, express some of our opinions on it, how we feel about it. Hopefully some of the people at home have maybe think about the story a little bit differently. Now, David, I wanted to ask you, on The Long Way Down, what do you think is the first thing that comes to readers' minds when you bring up the book?
When you bring up the book A Long Way Down, the first thing I think about, and I think many other readers think about, is the ending. Without a doubt.
I agree. I think the ending, although the story has so many good parts to it, the ending seems to resonate with the reader the most.
Yes.
Because, in my opinion, I think it does that because it builds up so much and you're constantly expecting some kind of twist. And then the ending, it almost delivers exactly how you think it will end. You want it to end with a twist, but you think it'll end simply.
Yeah.
So, do you think by him doing this was a good idea, bad idea? Let me hear your thoughts upon it.
Well, first time I read the ending, I was frustrated knowing that if I tried to look for the correct ending, or the ending that I wanted, of course, I wouldn't find it. But that doesn't prevent me, the reader, from creating my own ending. And I think that leaving the audience frustrated and looking for more is important because it forces the readers to think for themselves, and it really helps them ask more questions in their head and pushes the reader to find the ending with all the information given about the characters.
Yeah, I think that brings up a great point. However, do you think by him pretty much leaving it up to the reader to be creative about it, do you think that is him being lazy? Do you think he couldn't come up with a better ending and he's just leaving it like that?
I think that Reynolds is a great writer. Reading the book has kept me interested the whole time, and with the plot twist at the end, I was like amazed. And I think he's very capable of creating an ending, but that was not his motive. His motive was to create an ending where the reader creates the ending.
Yeah, I agree. But in my opinion, I don't like the ending as much.
It's all about taste.
Yeah, and that brings me to one of my points. It just depends on the reader. There's so many different readers out there. Some of them are super creative and they can just come up with it on their own. I'd like to think that I'm creative too, but in my opinion, I like to have something have a sound ending, something that you know exactly what happens. I just want to know what happens to Will and what was going on in the elevator because it almost doesn't answer that.
Yeah.
Does he really see ghosts or is this just a dream, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
So I just want to see what's actually happening in this story, you know? Because it seems like by leaving the ending open like that to the reader, it almost just makes the whole story seem second guessing, if you could say. Like, the whole story you're thinking about if they're ghosts or not, if he's awake, if he's asleep, if he's dead, what is happening. And the story doesn't answer any of those problems or any of those questions, so it just leaves the reader kind of second guessing any of their actions, because sometimes through the story it reflects on the past occurrences and it makes you think, oh, he is dead, because he's seeing dead people now, they're all similar in death, but then other parts make you think maybe he is alive and it's just him thinking about it. So I think the ending could have been better, but at the same time it really just depends on the reader's perspective on it.
Yeah. Always
So,
preferences.
Yeah, 100%. So it brings me to another thing. You said that most people think about the ending of the story when you bring up The Long Way Down. Why do you think they think about that instead of the rest of the story, which is so packed with events and such?
I believe that the readers always think about the ending when they read this book, because the book builds up in a very special way, and since the reader's so interested, and this relates to me, I was very interested, and to find out that there wasn't actually an ending was crazy. I was like, what's going on? But in the end, I figured out that I could create my own ending, like I said. So can the reader. And I think that's a great idea. Job well done by Reynolds.
So you said you can create your own ending. What's the ending that you have created for yourself?
The ending I've created for myself is that Will, when Sean tells Will to, or when Sean asks Will, "Are you coming?" My ending was Will steps out the elevator, takes a walk around his neighborhood, and finally they come to a bridge, and Sean asks Will, "What are you gonna do now?" And Will throws the gun from the bridge and says, my apologies, I forgot.
You're fine.
What was I gonna say? Break the cycle, end the cycle of violence,
Yeah,
which is shown in the book multiple times.
Like something like that. In my opinion, I think ending the story like that just makes it more sound. You could have had a good ending to it. But at the same time, I understand there's so many different readers out there that you kind of want to leave. It's a good idea to leave it open like that. Even though it might anger people, it allows them to be creative. And encouraging creativity is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Always.
But if you don't mind me saying, I created my own ending because that's basically what you had to do at that point, you know? And I took it that might sound a little bit dark, but the whole elevator going down and seeing all these dead people is almost his trip to hell.
Understandable. 7 floors?
Yeah.
Or 6 floors, I'm not.
But you can think of it like, say the cigarette smoke in there, say that's the like heat of hell, because it constantly is building up the lower it goes. So at the top it's just a little bit of smoke, and it keeps building up the closer it gets to the bottom until it's packed. And they say it opens the doors and it all rushes out, and they all leave. And then Sean says, "You coming? Like you're coming with us. You don't have a choice. You're coming with us." But once again, it leaves it up to the reader to be creative.
So
I like your ending.
This book.
Yeah, I think it's a good book. Sometimes I just want to like straight ending, you know?
Yeah, understandable.
Well, that concludes our time tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, David. Go check him out on Instagram. What's your Instagram? I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
That's fine. Well, thank you for joining us. Good night, everybody.